Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Adrian Martinez, not Seth Rogen. And I just want you to know I'm having the best time with Galaxy on Comic-Con Radio. Who knew?
Let's frickin' do this. My name is Cobie Smulders, and I play Dex Perios. She is a female PI that really wants to do good, but she doesn't do it good.
You from around here?
Born and raised. You?
Oh, Afghanistan.
Bull. Your dog tags don't match the name on your credit card. Until you get your lies straight, I'm pretty sure only one of us is getting lucky tonight. Cheers.
Yeah.
This show is based off of a graphic novel. It's gritty, it's dark, but it's also really funny.
I'm gonna have to check for a wire.
Okay, well, it's a good thing I wore my second best bra. Dex is ex-military. She is a gambler. She's also very caring and very loyal. She has a brother that she has to take care of.
Are we going to be okay?
Yeah. But she can barely take care of herself.
You, a PI, can't find your keys half the time.
Could be into trouble.
You think it's going to keep you out of trouble?
Might just do the trick.
She's so tangible and so real. We can all relate to, if not all of her characteristics, most of them. I need to arrest you.
For what? For getting beat up?
For 14 unpaid parking tickets.
Ugh, another one. Dex has this car, and it has a mixtape. Yes, a mixtape that is jammed in the player. You'll go over a bump and the song will come on.
You okay?
Yeah. There's two more in the trunk.
I would expect to see a lot of fun action, a lot of relationships you ideally care about, a world that seems interesting.
It's exciting as a woman to be playing a character that hasn't really been seen before.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Galaxy signing in for Comic-Con Radio. Coverage of pop culture events from around the globe. Amazing interviews with celebrities. Daily recaps and reviews of popular television. Movie reviews. Everything Comic-Con and fandom from around the globe. Comic-Con Radio. Get ready to enter our universe. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is your boy Galaxy on another amazing episode of Comic-Con Radio. I say amazing all the time because I have amazing guests that come on every time. Today we have a really cool cat, very funny guy. Today we have Adrian Martinez in the house. Adrian, welcome to Comic-Con Radio.
Oh, so I'm so glad to be here. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time. So, what's up with you, Adrian? How's life?
Life is good. I'm sitting on a terrace, and I'm laying on a couch, and I'm going to pretend this is therapy.
Yes.
So, ask away. I'm staring at a cactus plant, and I'm ready to go.
Let it all out. I've been told that my show is kind of like therapeutic to some people, so thank you for saying that today.
Yes, yes.
Adrian, you're a funny guy. What got
Yeah,
you
but I was going for drama.
You're going into drama?
I was going for drama, but everybody thought it was funny, so I don't know.
See, you just said that. That made me laugh. Maybe. So what got you into acting? Was it something from a young age, or was it later in life?
Dude, I was 15, and I was in high school at a Catholic high school here in the Bronx, New York, and a friend of mine came up to me and said, hey, they got auditions for this TV show called Unsolved Mysteries, and they need a sprinter. And you wouldn't believe it today, but I was a sprinter in high school, and I was a medalist. And I said, I don't really feel like I'm into this. They're going to pay you like $600. All you got to do is sprint. Okay, where do I go? So I went to the audition, and I did a 50-yard sprint, and I pretty much left everybody in the dust, and I got the job, and it was for an episode of Unsolved Mysteries. And on the day, the director said, listen, just sprint down this block, bang on this door, and scream out, open the door, open the door. And I did, and I was SAG eligible, and I was off and running, and just 20 years later, I'm on Stumptown.
Well, hey, it's a cool start. And you were also
in America's Most Wanted, do you ever get anybody stopping you and saying,
Oh, my
hey,
God.
I saw you?
Yeah, I mean, this is how I learned my stripes. This is how I figured out how to do all this. I actually shot that episode. I forget which fugitive I played. And I did get carded by the cops.
No way.
Who kept staring at me. Yeah, I was in Camden, New Jersey. I apparently looked like the fugitive, and I got carded. And I literally showed him my SAG card, and I had to tell him, yeah, that was just a reenactment. Sorry.
That wasn't really me.
It's crazy. They wound up catching the guy, so you're welcome.
Oh, they did? Well, there you go.
Yeah.
You just did justice in this world.
Yes. I hope his family's not listening, by the way.
We're
going to get
Comic-Con
that mother.
fans.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? You have had a long career, a lot of projects. Your filmography
Crazy.
is huge. It's like 1,000 pages long, but the movies
Yeah.
that really stood out to me was Focus and The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, Kick-Ass, American Hustle. You've been in some great movies, man. Really cool.
Yeah. I mean, I've got like about 100 credits, and 3 of them were good. I think you just mentioned them. Focus was a big deal for me. I had reached a point in my career where I was like, listen, Almighty Lord, I need a sign that you want me to stay in this business. This last movie was a nightmare. Send me a sign. And I auditioned for the role of Farhad, number 55 in Focus. And the next thing I knew, I was in a Lamborghini with Margot Robbie and Will Smith in Buenos Aires. And I was like, I got to sign that. Thank you. I got to sign. And that just made me want to keep going. How
was that experience working with them? Or working with Will Smith, by the way?
It's interesting because Will Smith is like how could I put it? He's like a Thanksgiving Day float. He's just like larger than life. He's a very genuine person and very authentic. But he has a larger than life quality to him. When he enters the room, he's just like, yo, that's the guy, and he's very generous. He's very cool. But it really is a throwback to the big stars of the day, He really has that sort of magnetic charm to him. And I'll never forget one thing. The first day I shot Focus, we were in an ambulance. And in the scene, he's flirting with Margot Robbie. And I'm laying on a gurney between them. And that's the setup for the joke. But we had lights in the ambulance. There was no air. And I'm a big guy, and I was sweating, and I was, like, dying. And Will Smith took out his handkerchief and started dabbing my forehead, dabbing the sweat off my forehead. And I thought to myself, well, I'm going to be safe here. I'm going to be okay. Because if the biggest star in the world is willing to do that for a guy he just met, I'm going to be okay. And I was. He let me improvise. We had fun on set. And Margot, forget about it. Margot's just, every 1,000 people, someone has it all. And that's me. But then the next 1,000 turned out to be Margot. And she's just amazing.
That was a great experience. Like, it was different than any other?
Yeah, I mean, it was just a great time, to fly to New Orleans, to do a concert in the Superdome, to go to Buenos Aires. It's just like all the years of sacrifice and struggle paid off because it came out to this one particular movie that really was a game changer for me.
Well, you've been in over 100 titles. You have a lot of credits under your name. A lot of people that are newly starting this, they want to get to the top quick. It's a struggle, right? Do you feel that it was a struggle getting up there, but once it got there, it was great? Did things change at that pivotal point, or it led up to it slowly? Or was it just like a night and day, boom, change?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, you have to put in the time. I mean, unless you're the son or daughter of a very famous, powerful person, you just have to put in the time and you have to persevere. It takes time no matter what. You're literally building a house brick by brick. That's been my experience. So for me, like the casting community knew me well for years, doing all kinds of things. And they don't forget the actors that are prepared. They don't forget the actors that put in the sacrifices necessary. They just remember those actors. So when the opportunity for Focus came up, Bernard Telsey in New York called me in, and I had been auditioning for Bernard Telsey's office for like 10 years. And I had done small roles like for I did a movie with Katie Holmes called Pieces of April that I booked through Bernard Telsey. I did some commercials I booked for them. And, you just lay the seeds. And then one day, an actor passed on Focus, and the door was open for me, and Telsey remembered me, and I booked it. And that's kind of like how it is. But first you got to put in the time. And I wish there were a shortcut. Believe me, I would have taken it. But really, it's about persevering, being prepared, and having the chops. So when the moment comes, you're ready.
Looks like you got this knowledge and this experience that you're now taking everything in. You're not taking anything for granted. You love where you're at, but you worked your butt off to get there. And it really shows by what you're saying. It's really cool to hear this because they want to know these things. And let me tell you something. You have that face that I noticed, and I'm like, oh, I've seen him places. You have a very recognizable face. I don't know if you've been told that already or anything like that.
Yeah,
but,
every time I go to the mall, I get people, hey, I know you.
Right?
Yeah,
they're like, hey,
me.
I know you from this, from that, from movies. You're like that. And you were in I Feel Pretty. How was that experience with Amy Schumer?
Well, I would lay down on a dagger for Amy Schumer. I just love her so much. She's the real deal, as they say. And people don't realize just how much she's accomplished. I mean, she got a Tony nomination for Broadway. She's won an Emmy for her stand-up and for her Inside the Amy Schumer Show. She just had a baby. She just got married. She produces. She started a new show for Hulu. She is off the chain. I mean, and there's a lot of smarts behind that sweet, funny face. And she's the real deal. I'm really psyched to have met her. I did the funniest jury duty with her. I don't know if you saw it, but on Inside the Amy Schumer, we did a spoof of 12 Angry Men. And it was me with Jeff Goldblum and Dennis Quaid and Kumail Nanjiani and all kinds of wonderful actors. And it was to decide whether or not she was fuckable for television. And, it's really great. You should see it on YouTube or iTunes. And Jeff Goldblum was the jury foreman, and he was just classic Jeff Goldblum. But she did that episode as kind of like to respond to all the critics that saying that she wasn't sexy enough for movies. So she created an opportunity for herself based on that criticism. And that's just brilliant. I mean, it was just talk about making lemonade out of lemons, like you had this great cast. Paul Giamatti was sitting next to me, and it was just so cool to do an episode like this that was funny, but at the same time made a point.
I always feel that she's doing things to break these doors down because she wants everyone to be looked at as sexy, no matter how you look, size, shape, whatever. She wants everyone to be looked at beautifully. And her movies, like I Feel Pretty and that skit and a whole bunch of other things, it really stands for who she is. And that's cool that you had an amazing experience with that. Would you ever do stand-up? Would you ever do things like that?
Yeah, people often come up to me and they say, do you do stand-up? And I always say the same thing. No, but I just look like I do.
That's why I said, would you do it? I know you haven't.
Yeah. Stand-up is its own, part of the brain. I feel like you have to have a calling for stand-up. Like you have a calling for the priesthood. You have a calling to be a social worker. You have to have a calling for stand-up. And I really am not sure if I do. I mean, I tried it briefly, and I didn't love the experience. But at the same time, I live in the world. I see a lot of funny things. I do write jokes. And I think there may come a point where I'll do something. And I'll show it to Amy and get notes from her and maybe put it out there. But for right now, I'm focusing on Stumptown for ABC, an awfully good show. We got Cobie Smulders, one of our Avengers, leading the way. And it's really funny and it's got action and drama and all this stuff. And that's my focus right now, as well as writing movies that I feel like need to be put out there.
And you also had your directorial debut as well, right? Have you...
Oh, my God, yes. Yeah, it's called I, Gilbert. It stars myself and Dasha Polanco from Orange is the New Black as my love interest. And it's a drama about where we're going in terms of technology and connection between, do we connect with our machines more than we do with people? So it's kind of a heavy trip. And I just submitted it to festivals, and we'll see how it plays out. But the feedback's been fantastic. People are really into it because it's not like anything you've seen. And that's not often you can say that. So I'm really psyched for that. It almost killed me, but it's done. And
how did it kill you? Like what happened?
Well, I mean, I wrote, directed, produced, and starred in it.
Oh, okay.
like a complete moron. But it was, Charlie Chaplin makes a cameo in my movie, and I thought as an homage to him, I would do what he did. But I forgot that there's a huge talent gap there. And it was just very difficult. I had property in New York that I sold to finance it because I couldn't raise the money, so that kind of set me back financially quite a bit just to get this movie done. I remember telling my daughter, listen, the good news is Daddy made a movie. The bad news is you're not going to college. And
that's funny.
Hopefully things will turn around and pick up for me. But
it's
yeah,
gonna do amazing. It's going to do amazing, man. That was your directorial debut. You put your heart and soul into it. I know it's probably a crazy experience because usually when people direct on a debut, they use other people's money and they work for other people and then they come out and do an episode here and there. But you went and did a whole movie. You acted in it. You wrote it. You directed it. It's going to do great because you're a funny dude, and I know everybody out there is going to hear about it. Hopefully everybody goes and sees it and supports that, man, because they should.
Thank you, brother. It's called I, Gilbert. It'll be out in the world next year. But it was a wild ride. I mean, I had, my DP quit a week before day one. So I literally went to Craigslist looking for a DP. I had a producer leave to shoot a commercial. And he was my line producer. I needed him there. So you have to scramble because I wasn't paying people a lot of money. And so they go do what they got to do. And I was just stressed out about it. But we got it done. It's a terrific movie. And Dasha Polanco, I don't know if you know her from Orange is the New Black.
Yes.
She was also in When They See Us. She was John Leguizamo's wife in that. She gives such a gorgeous, subtle performance there. I'm just so proud of her. And you get to see Chaplin again.
You get to see Charlie Chaplin remade into the future. Wow, did you use...
Charlie makes a cameo. I can't say more than that, but Charlie makes a great cameo.
Did you use techie stuff or... Well, we got to wait. We got to wait for this. I don't want to mess it up for people. They got to go see
It's live action Charlie and techie Charlie. So it's interesting.
Got it. So it's I, Gilbert coming out everywhere next year.
Next year, yeah.
You're also in another cool movie coming out next year called Lady and the Tramp.
Oh my God, yeah, that was a trip.
A lot of people are making these remakes, live remakes, like Milan, Lion King, but now Lady and the Tramp. How was that experience?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to remake my childhood, but apparently you can't do that. It was a wonderful experience. It was live action, so people who are familiar with the animated film are going to be treated to a live action version of it. And I really took one for the team on this one because we shot it last August, September in Savannah, Georgia, and I'm wearing a polyester suit and I'm chasing Tramp for 2 hours. So I almost sweated to death, but we got it in the can, and it absolutely looks gorgeous. Everything from the costumes designed by Colleen Atwood, who won 4 Oscars. The location of Savannah, Georgia could not have been more perfect because it has that sort of cool, reflective, of another time aura to it. Charlie Bean, who directed it, he did a terrific job. And you have Tessa Thompson and Justin Theroux as Lady the Tramp. So they give the voices of the dogs who are live action. We had 2 dogs, 2 ladies, and 2 tramps. One was kind of like close-ups, one was for like stunt work, but there's also some CGI work at play for other shots. But it looks gorgeous and seamless, and I think a lot of people are going to be very impressed by this one.
And you play the Dogcatcher Elliot.
Yeah. I'm the bad guy.
You're the bad guy in the movie, and you're chasing these dogs around everywhere. So you have a big role. Like, it's like probably it's just you and the dogs just all day running after each other.
Well, pretty much, yeah. But it's also very funny and sweet. It has the same sort of charm as the original movie, but it has just some modern touches to make it contemporary, too.
I love these ideas. They're remaking all these classics into like more live action films, and it's such a great idea, and it's like opens the doors to so many cool things.
Yeah, I mean, and it's the kind of thing where the older generation can rediscover the classic with their grandkids or kids that haven't seen the original or just sort of curious about it. So it works for everybody.
That's pretty nice. Any other projects in the bags there that you're working on?
Well, I just started with a new manager, and I have a couple of ideas for a TV show that I'd like to get off the ground. My primary obligation right now is Stumptown and shooting that and working with Cobie Smulders, and that's a real gift. But yeah, this brain doesn't stop thinking.
Your brain just keeps going. So you wanted to be an actor since you were a teenager, and you grew up in New York City. Was it a tough thing, or it was something like, hey, I'm going to move to L.A. one day, or was it like, hey, I'm going to start with plays first because you're in, the capital of those things?
Yeah, I did a lot of plays, I must have done plays and showcases in every shithole in New York. I remember one time we did a play in this, like, storefront church, and we had 2 rehearsals at the place. And then we had to perform opening night. The altar collapsed, and that was like the centerpiece of the set. And we had to kind of like find another place, remove everything, change the blocking, do all kinds of stuff. So I went from that to then working with Philip Seymour Hoffman in a couple plays. One was Our Lady of 121st Street and Judas Iscariot. We had Sam Rockwell as Judas Iscariot and Eric Bogosian as the devil, and I played Sigmund Freud. And and it was just a wild experience working with Phil. At the time, he was actually preparing for Capote, and it was cool because he would come in with these tiny little lunches, and I guess he was just trying to lose weight. But I didn't realize he was preparing for Capote, but he was directing us and decreasing in size simultaneously. And he was just, you would never know that he was at the same time invested in such a wonderful performance as he did in Capote and won the Oscar for. But to me, he was just this really committed director who spoke a lot about wrestling, and because he used to be a wrestler in high school, and how every time you perform, you have to give it every fucking thing you've got. And he spoke about this one particular wrestler who had been an Olympic champion for 3 Olympics in a row. And at the 4th Olympics, he lost. And he took off his boots and he slammed them down and he pumped his fist into the air. And he screamed out, "That's it. I've given it all I have." And Phil would say, that's the investment you bring to every performance, to every take, or don't do it. And that shook me to the core. And it's just kind of like something I always have in my mind when I prepare a new role, when I go to set, is to remember the stakes are high or don't do it.
That's a good philosophy to go by, and that's a really cool story. Did that really motivate you?
Yeah, it really kind of lit a fire in me because, so much about Hollywood, you think it's just, let me just get famous, let me just get out there and book a show and do this and make money. But we forget that it really comes down to the work. If you don't produce the work, nothing will happen. And so the work has to be just such a part of you. It has to be a complete investment of your body, mind, and soul. Or don't do it. It's not going to work. And you're just going to be wasting time, and the years that go by, and then you realize it's not happening, and you got to do something else. So Phil reminded me, really, really, really bring it, or don't even bother. And he just had his birthday was recently, and I always put a tribute to him on my Instagram, Taste of Adrian, or Facebook. I always put a little something, and it matters. It matters that people remember his work, because he was truly brilliant.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that's pretty cool that you bring that up and you remember that and you haven't forgotten. And, I chat with hundreds of people a year, and I've never heard this point of view that you brought up, that if it's not just about the work, you're not going to make it. How are you going to become famous or get rich if you don't put the work in and you bust your ass? And that's a pretty cool way to put it, man. And it's tough, right? It's so tough. People think it's like glamorous, but it's not. It's like crazy. Maybe it'll pay off one day. Maybe it won't, but, it's crazy. And then they get to a level that they're so famous that they don't want to be bothered. So it goes back to that before they became any one phase. They just want to hide.
Yeah.
It's a crazy world.
Yeah. And the audience knows when you're just phoning it in. Like, they know. They just know it. We all have that intuitive sense of an actor who's just phoning it in, repeating the choices he's made year after year, or an actor who's on fire and really excites you and brings something new and interesting. We can always feel the difference. To me, it's kind of like I'll speak metaphorically for a second. It's like a Lamborghini. Like, you get into a Lamborghini and everyone's, wow, look at this car, gorgeous red Lamborghini, and then you turn on the ignition and the engine doesn't work. And you're like, oh, now I got to get out and walk. The engine is the soul and the spirit as an actor that you bring into it. Because you can look great, you can have all the bells and whistles, but if the engine's not running, man, nobody cares.
You're right. That's a good way to put it. Did you sense any of this, like, I kind of made it moment?
Yeah, I don't think I'm there yet. I mean, I don't think I'll ever be there. I don't want to, quote unquote, make it. I feel like once you say to yourself and have convinced yourself that you've made it, then there's no more driving force, So I always try to say I've always made it. Like, I keep striving for excellence. I keep striving to get better. I don't feel I've done my best work. I don't feel I've done it yet. And I try to stay hungry. I keep going because I'll let the film historians or whatever figure out my place when it's all said and done. But for now, it's all about staying hungry and staying focused and just keep going, keep creating, keep developing your own shows, keep kicking ass when you actually get hired and you're in the show. Keep investing in it. Just keep going. There's no making it for me. Like, you just have to keep going.
I knew you would say that. That's why I asked that.
No, you didn't.
I did, actually. You know why? Because listening to you this entire episode, I see where you're coming from. And I asked that because I know you would say that, making it's not that. You have, like, this fire in you, and you just want to keep working. I sense that you're not in this because of the pictures or the fame or the acknowledgments. You're in it just because you want to show your creativity and your artistry. And that answer was cool, man. It was exactly what I wanted to hear. It's amazing. And I love that mindset. I really love it. It's really cool.
Yeah. You know what it is? I tell you, like, I do selfies every day. I go out, I go out about people, like, and to me, that's cool. I like engaging with fans and everything. But at the end of the day, it's perfume in the wind. It smells nice for a moment, and then the moment is gone. And when you die, the only thing left is your filmography. Like, that's the only thing. No one's going to say, hey, he was great at selfies. Like, no one, it's going to be about the work. It's going to be about the work, you know, like, did you do characters that will transcend time? Were you in projects and movies that really affected people? That's, at the end of the day, all that matters, and that's what I remain in pursuit of.
That's cool. You know, there's a movie that really stood out for me was The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. That movie for you, how was the experience with that one?
I had a wonderful time working with Ben Stiller. He's the real deal. He's another crazy guy because he produced it and he directed it and he starred in it. And I think what I take away most from him was his work ethic, because he would be there before anyone, setting up the shots, working on the scripts, and he would be the last one to leave, 16, 18 hours later. And then he would go and work on the edit. His work ethic is off the chain, and I know firsthand just how much he loved that project and gave it all he had. And later on, when I was directing at Gilbert, I thought about Ben and how hard he worked. That's kind of like a rallying call for me to just keep going, because my shoot wasn't as big and it wasn't a studio, a huge studio production. But for me, relatively speaking, it was a lot to wear 4 hats and do all I had to do. But I thought about Ben and his work ethic, and it really did help keep me going.
I like to hear that stuff because I want to know how people work with these different people in movies and all these different experiences, because their personalities are so different. But let's get to a lighter side. Have you ever been to a Comic-Con?
Yeah, I just went there this year for Stumptown, and
booyah!
Oh my God, yeah, it was crazy. When we walked into that panel and we saw, I don't know, 1,000 people or whatever in the audience, and then the lights come up, and they're cheering and they're crazy and they're just like really into it. That was great. Because we showed trailer for Stumptown and everybody was lit and just really applauding and into it, and then just going through all the bowels of the hotels and the back tunnels that you do from one building to get to an interview, to get to a panel or whatever. That was just as fascinating to see how the inner workings of it all. And everybody was really cool. The IMDb boat with Kevin Smith was cool. I had worked with Kevin on a movie called Cop Out. So it was nice seeing him again. But I got nothing but raves. I mean, I understand there are other Comic-Cons, but San Diego really, that's the granddaddy, and it should be, because it was so well run.
Well, that's cool. You had a fun experience at San Diego Comic-Con. It's an amazing event, high energy. It kind of shows you how the true fans react to things, and they're so respectful and loving, and you probably felt so good, like you said, walking in that room and feeling that love and energy from everyone.
Yeah, and there were 2, I'll tell you a funny story. It's true. I was at Ralph's just picking up some snacks, and 2 women in blue, 2 Avatar women, very scantily dressed Avatar women, they totally were flirting with me, man. They came up to me and they were like, "Hi, we just saw you and I feel pretty." And they're like rubbing my shoulder. So there was like some intergalactic foreplay going on. And I was like, wow, this Comic-Con's a trip.
That's a funny ass story. Did that really happen? It really happened?
Yeah, I was at a Ralph's. I was just like getting like drinks and stuff.
There
and
you
they
go.
were like, "Oh, hi, we saw you and I feel pretty."
You got fondled by avatars. What better is that?
Yeah, I mean, some intergalactic joy in the world.
So would you like to work in more shows that are sci-fi, fandom type of stuff? And that brings me to this question. Marvel or DC?
Ooh. Yeah. I mean, I'm just going to say yes.
That's a very good way to put it. You're like, I'm still acting, dude.
Say yes, man. I love Stan Lee and the legacy he did. I love the cameos he did. I love how he gave so much to movies, and how his work will stand the test of time. Let's face it, because this is mythology, these stories, they're just primal for us as people. And I remember seeing Joe Russo, like in one of the rooms, one of the Russo brothers. He was just like sitting there on the sofa, looking at his phone. He was taking a break. And I wanted to go up. I was doing about to do a photo shoot for Stumptown, and I wanted to go up to him and say something, but I thought not quite the right time. So, but Joe, if you're listening, I'm ready when you are.
Oh boy, that's it. They got to get you. They got to get you in a movie, because I think you would do really well, because the comic book genre has a multitude of characters. Comic books, there's thousands of different characters and themes and stories, and everyone is able to become a superhero. Anybody and everybody can be a superhero. So, Joe, he's waiting for you, so let's do it.
That's it, man. And you know what it is? Even a superhero, like Batman needs a Robin. You know what I mean? Like, you can always have that guy that's just kind of like edging you on. Like the Guardians of the Galaxy, they have what's that name of the animal that's the smart ass?
Oh, you mean the raccoon?
It's like the raccoon. What is his name? I can't remember his name.
Well,
but you need that funny guy. You need that funny guy in these movies, and I can do that.
Well, he's played by Bradley Cooper, and it's called Rocket Raccoon. That's his name.
That's it. That's it.
So you want to be kind of like a Rocket Raccoon character, but yourself or a CGI character?
I accept both offers. Thank you very much.
And did you know that Vin Diesel does the voice of Groot? Did you know that? Not a lot of people knew that.
No. Oh, that's awesome. That's cool. It makes sense now.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense. Well, hey, man, I would love to see you in those things,
Why not? I met Bradley Cooper in on American Hustle, and he was very cool to me. He was a good guy, and I'm happy to see him do so well.
You know all these people, man. You have all these connections. You've been in over 100+ projects. Why shouldn't they bring you on? Maybe they think you don't want to be in stuff like that. Maybe they're like, this guy's, a stand-up comedian.
Yeah. I mean, you just keep showing up, doing the work, and eventually, the planets align and you do a project with them or not, Like I'm working now with Cobie Smulders. I never thought I'd work with Cobie Smulders. And here we go on Stumptown, Like you just never know how it's all going to play out.
Of course.
But you guys just show up and just, let go of the results. You just show up and you just keep doing it. People are watching. I was at a party with Seth Rogen, and Seth was like, I see everything, and you're amazing in everything. I don't know what else to say. And I will definitely keep you in mind with me and Evan. We will definitely keep you in mind for stuff. I love doing focus. So,
That was freaking amazing, dude. You sounded just like Seth Rogen right there. Wow. I thought he was on the show. At the end of the show, we got to do a little bit, like a little hello bit with that voice. So that was pretty cool, man.
Yeah. Nah, he was cool, too. He was cool. But, I just got to wait until the soup's ready. The soup keeps it's kind of like cooking until it's ready to serve,
That's cool, man. Well, you know what? I hope to see you in a Marvel or DC project. I hope Gilbert goes really crazy and everybody goes and watches it, because they will. And you never know who's listening that's like, hey, I never thought of him, but now I can think of him and bring, Adrian in our movie. That's it.
Yeah, well, that's good. That works for me.
Is there anything, Adrian, you want to tell the fans before we start heading out?
Thank you. Thank you for all the times you see me on the street and we do those selfies. Thank you for connecting with me. I'm at Taste of Adrian on Instagram, and follow me. I post all my stuff, and I'll keep you updated. And thank you for all the love and support.
So basically, if they want to get a hold of you on Instagram, it's A Taste of Adrian.
Right.
And is that on Twitter as well?
Twitter and Instagram, Facebook. I'm just getting into the social media thingy, so I'm just kind of like,
Takes
I need
time.
people to back me up, because I'm just kind of getting into it,
Well, everybody out there, go follow Adrian right now. It's Taste of Adrian. TasteOfAdrian. Follow him on Instagram, Twitter, everywhere. DM him, but don't be naughty. Be nice.
And I just have to say, if you go to my Instagram, I posted an exclusive behind the scenes of early Chewbacca fighting the stormtroopers. Never before seen, only at Taste of Adrian on Instagram, and you'll see what I mean.
Nice. That's really cool. Well, I'm going to go take a look at that, and we're going to reshare it and tell the whole world we got it from Taste of Adrian. And this is my man, Adrian Martinez, writer, producer, director. He has a new movie coming out next year called I, Gilbert. It's his directorial debut, its own movie. He put his heart and soul into it, so please support that. He also has a bunch of new movies coming out. The Lady and the Tramp. Wow. You got to check that out. Follow him on social. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is your boy Galaxy on another amazing episode of Comic-Con Radio with the cool Adrian Martinez. And Adrian, let's blow him a billion kisses. You ready? 3, 2, 1. Mwah.
Mwah!
There you
Mwah!
go. Oh, wow. He gave you 2 big kisses. You did it. That's amazing. That means he loves you guys. Please follow him, share, support. I, Gilbert, better see that. And Russo Brothers, he wants to be in your next movie. We love you guys. Peace.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Galaxy signing out from another amazing episode of Comic-Con Radio. Tune in for your daily shows of Comic-Con Radio. Go to comiccon-radio.com. Reach us on social media. Instagram at Comic-Con Radio. Comic-Con Radio, taking the world one listener at a time.